Hello, welcome back to my education stream channel. Today I will explain to you about e-learning. Due to many of students currently having class through e-learning because of this pandemic situations. So this education talk is based on my team research. So our research is more focusing on the current scenario of pandemics, which all physical class are banned to be held during academic sessions. Thus, this research will identify the effectiveness of e-learning practice among students and lecturers during this pandemic. So today, I want to talk about the effectiveness of e-learning session using Microsoft Teams. Before that, I want to ask, what is e-learning? So let me explain to you a little bit about e-learning. What do you know about e-learning? E-learning can be defined into two basic words, which are learning that is delivered, enabled or mediated using electronic technology for the explicit purpose of training in organization, and another one is any form of learning that utilizes a network for delivery, interaction or facilitation. The learning could take place individually or as part of a class. That means the teaching session during physical class are changed to the new medium of teaching and learning, which basically based on recording, streaming using electronic devices such as laptop or mobile phone. So the main platform of this activity is internet network that make it able to be online. So the capital E in e-learning is basically stand for electronic. A learning system based on formalized teaching but with the help of electronic resources. The use of computers and the internet form the major components of e-learning. So this research study is basically more focusing on the current scenario of pandemic, which all physical class are banned to be held during pandemic sessions. All UniKL courses proceed as usual via online learning platform to replace physical class. So UniKL provide a learning platform is powered by Microsoft Teams for students and lecturers. The objective is used as a guideline for this research. So the main objectives of our research is to study the effectiveness of online class or known as e-learning session via Microsoft Teams among UniKL students. Next, we proceed to the research scope. To make this research more practical, we set some scope on this research which will make the data on this research are correct and able to be used on findings the objective of this research. So the first scope that we set is respondents of the research survey are from UniKL students of different campus. As I mentioned before, this research is carried out focused on UniKL students only. So the next scope is the survey was distributed randomly to the students through online using Google Forms. Due to this COVID-19 situation, printed form of survey are not practically be used. Thus, the only alternative to proceed the survey is through online. So we create the survey using Google Form platform. Then the link of this Google Form are distributed among students through WhatsApp apps. So we proceed the last scope. The last scope is the survey is for students with in-study status only. This is to make sure the respondent of the survey is have own experience in this e-learning session organized by UniKL using Microsoft Teams software. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, my name is UniKL E-learning. I'm going to present the literature review on our report of effectiveness of e-learning. So first, the literature review made a design of e-learning portal. As we all know, UniKL has standardized the use of Microsoft Teams for all of our online classes. So Microsoft Teams is a very good e-learning portal and it's a very reliable one as well for this day. So moving on to the first point. So interactive content that gives instantaneous and frequent feedback will increase the satisfaction when using e-learning. Large, easy to read fonts and clear bold colors use variety of graphics, images, tables and chunk of information will impact the distance learner desire to pursue e-learning. So it will be more exciting for them, alright? So finally, the content, learning activities, all the required assignments and the materials needed to be organized accordingly to better meet the needs of us users. For example, Microsoft Team has done a very good job on this part because Microsoft Team has organized everything accordingly. For the classes, it is organized in the teams, so there are types of all of the classes in there. There are the assignment parts for us to get all the detailed information we need on the assignment parts, when's the deadline, the format, and finally is the class material. So our lecturers can include all the materials inside that one part, so for all the students to have the ease of access. Alright, so moving on to the next slide are the demographic factors and the effectiveness of e-learning. So there are 4 points: age, student status, program of studies, and employment. So as for age, so moving on to age, it is said that the new generations are prone to adapt on this e-learning faster than the older generation. Well, this is because the newer generations are more exposed to the connectivity, internet and technologies at a very young age. For example, kids these days, at the age of 5, 6, even younger at 4, they already have their own mobile phone or iPad. So they have more experience, so they already know how to use YouTube, all those basic interface at a very young age. So for them, it will be more effective for them to study through e-learning in the future. So they have more experience on using this interface, assessing everything. Okay, so right. So moving on to the next slide are the student status. So the study styles and habits preferred way of learning. So there are 2 styles of students. So there are students who still using books, one-on-one learning, doing researches manually, and also there are students that spend most of the time studying, doing everything assignments on the internet. So they will look for all the informations needed, the researches that were made, so everything is on the internet. So for those students, they will have higher effectiveness of e-learning because they are more experienced. So comparison for full-time and part-time students. So full-time students spends more time acquainting this newer surface, so naturally they have better edge of using e-learning compared to part-time students who spend less time on the interface. Right, so moving on to the next slide is the program of study. So there was no study that directly correlates program of study with the effectiveness of e-learning. However, it could be logically surmised that e-learning would be more useful in the field of IT and engineering subjects because the IT students are majored in computer science, computer programming. So the e-learning would give them a hands-to-hands experience on the user interface. So it would be very useful for them in the future, for them to create a new portal, new interface. So it will be like that indirectly a good experience for them. So it will indirectly increase the effectiveness of e-learning. Same as well for the engineering students, because we are introduced and exposed to the latest industry level, which is the IoT. So through that, it will give us hands-on experience on the interface, and it will also increase our effectiveness of learning. So finally, moving on to the next slide. So there was an absence in the literature concerning the bond between the demographic factors and effectiveness of learning, but there's one finding highlighted by Mungania from the doctoral dissertation was that 76% of e-learners had participated in e-learning exercise 3 years prior. So he found out that most 34% of most e-learners did have previous e-learning from a previous company or employer. So for example, universities that conducted training before they started implementing these online classes will have higher learning of effectiveness on e-learning comparison to students who doesn't have training. So it will be very important for the employers, uni management to include this training. Alright, so that's all for my slide. Thank you.
So now I would like to explain more about the methodology of the research. for the research purposes, it is a quantitative research. By means we will be collecting data by numbers. So we make a survey, and the survey will display data on how the student agree on something that we question them. So next, for the data collection, so the tools that we use for our research is we use the Google form. We will set up and design a questionnaire, and we will distribute to the our targeted respondent, which is UniKL student. So for the procedure, the survey must be answered in order, and the respondent need to answer all the question given. So if they miss one question, so the data will be invalid. So the criteria, like I said, we only focusing this research to UniKL student.
Okay, hello everyone. So today I would like to explain about the demography profile of the respondent by sector of data finding. So basically there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 university that has conduct the questionnaire or Google form, which the most responder are from UniKL MFI by the number of 70 responders. Okay, next, BMI will be the second most student for our Google form by 10%, and after we count, and the total number of responder will be 100%. Next, for the next question that has been provided in our Google form or questionnaire is their student or responder level of education. So by our responder opinion, the most level of education was degree bachelor by 87 from the responder are at degree level, followed by diploma for the second opinion or second most opinion, which is 16, and the last one technical certificate by 3%. We are still provide for master and PhD level, but we could not find any responder that are from master and PhD. Okay, for the first objective from our survey is effectiveness of e-learning session through Microsoft Teams at home. So we are providing 4 questions on this chapter, which is first one, level of skill or knowledge at start of session, which by the graph, excellent is the most opinion that has been chosen by the responder. From the first chart, we could say that most of the responder or student are prepared well before they join the class. Okay, for the second one, level of skill or knowledge at the end of the session, which means after the online class. So after the online class, they are still in their opinion for excellent, followed by increment of opinion in very good compared to before and after class. Okay, next, contribution of session to your skill or knowledge. So the chart is still the same. Is it because excellent was the most opinion that has been chosen by the responder, and followed by the very good opinion. So which means that they are student or responder are in a good term with the online class,
even we don't have the physical class at university. And lastly, understanding the delivery of lectures during the e-learn session. So in this point, or in this question, we would like to know how understand the student on the delivery by the lecturer on specific chapter or topic. So the most opinion that has been chosen is in a very good, with the green color, followed by the excellent.
Okay, now I will continue about the responsiveness of lecturer during Microsoft Teams session. So from the research that we did, from 106 respondents, we get this data. The instructor was an effective lecturer. There are 32 students is agree with this statement, and 45 is only agree, 24 is neutral, and 5 is disagree. So next, for the presentation were clear and organized. We can see the numbers is bigger compared to the disagree. It shows that the presentation that has been done by the lecturers in MS Teams for e-learning session is good, and it is clear and organized. It is indicate that the session is very productive and conducive. So the lecture stimulates student interest. So we know that during online session, sometimes the session gonna be so dull, and student will be lost interest in what is delivered by the lecturer. So it is lecturer's duty to know how to capture the attention of student. So there are 56 agree that the lecturers can capture their attention and also communicate well with them during the session via online. So next, lecturers are effectively use time during class session. So the same numbers shows that the lecturer use the time well. Most of the student is agree and cannot state the difference. So it is a positive sign that the student can cope well with the lectures. So lectures was available and helpful. So there are many student agrees that the lecture was available and helpful during online. So even though the lectures are not there with the student, in front of the student, but lecturers are willing to help students if there are any problem during the classes or outside the classes. So maybe there are some disagree of student from each section. However, most of the students are agree, and shown the pattern of to agree and can cope well with this new normal and this new learning environment.
So I proceed with the next finding, which is about the online course content through Microsoft Teams. So I will show you the tabulated data from the respondent of the survey. The table represents students' opinion on content of online course through Microsoft Teams. Most respondents are strongly agree with the element of online course content stated in the table. We can see from the table 5 out of 106 respondents chose for strongly disagree for workload was appropriate. It is because some lecturer may not consider with their time on finishing assignment or clashing with other assignments. So we can see next is 55 out of 106 respondents also stated for neutral opinion on the online course organized to allow all students to participate fully. This is because due to internet connection that may low at some rural area will affect their participation for online classes. So we can see most of the respondents give positive feedback on this online courses content. So that will be the overall findings data from the respondent of the survey, and that just explained clearly by Badrul, Adib and me just now. Thank you.
Talk about conclusions of our findings of the effectiveness of e-learning session through Microsoft Teams at home. So based on our findings, we can conclude that it was a success because the number of respondents at the beginning that that had low skill abilities had decreased from 12 to 4. 12 to 4. This is because maybe the student did understand the lecturer's delivery while online class is going on, and the number of students that still, the 4 respondents that still had low skill ability, maybe they did not prepared well before attending the online class. On to the next one. The next part of our findings is based on how the performance of the lecturers during online class. So it is found that we can conclude that mostly the lecturers did well on online class and had fully prepared before starting the online class. However, one respondent claimed that they are not agree that lecturers are being responsive and helpful during online class. This is because maybe the lecturers did not follow the schedule that was provided by university, or maybe the respondent did not understand what the lecturers are teaching. So this is only one respondent that answered this way. So this may be an internal problem for me. So on to the next one. I will tell about the recommendations that can be made to improve online class session. So the first one, maybe the participant they could improve their e-learning accessibility. So they can have like maybe better internet connections, or maybe some online tutoring for them if they feel that if they attend only the online classes will not enough for them, for the respondent that have issues with internet problem, maybe they can go to somewhere where internet connection is not a problem, and because these online classes will go on for a long time. And the next one, on behalf of UniKL, because this questionnaire is distributed to all the UniKL students, so UniKL they can have more interactive online programs that will provide more substances for students to improve their e-learning session. So because UniKL had released their online tutorial, so it is good for UniKL student. So things like that must go on or maybe increase, so the student will have more to do. Next one, for the lecturers, they had to find a way that maybe students will be more active in participating, and there will be more interaction between the student and lecturers while online session, because there are several students that are left out because they had problems staying online. On to the next one, the last one, the government and maybe university, they can create online applications or simulator that can simulate hands-on activity classes, because for some students that maybe take engineering or mechatronic and maybe medications, they had to do hands-on activity to understand more about what they are learning. So maybe if they had something like simulator, for example, if you taking automotive, you must do practical to understand more about the cars and to diagnose the cars, to understand what the car where the problem of the car. So you must, if you can have some simulator that can simulate that, so it will be great. And so that's all from me. Thank you.